All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, I have pinned at the top of chat, of course, my book's blog. You can acquire some spooky shit for Halloween, so you still got a little bit more time there. Make sure to take a look at it. Mysticism, black magic, white magic, prayer books, fortune telling, pretty much everything under the sun. It's all there. I just thought that I would point that out. We've got a lot to talk about today. We're going to mainly focus on Gaza and the war that's going on between Israel and Hamas right now. And there's plenty of disinfo or possible disinfo with regards to that spreading around as we speak. We'll address that particular issue. One article here. The world holds its breath. Israel-Palestine war dramatically escalates after hundreds die in Gaza hospital strike as Iran warns time is up and Hezbollah calls for day of rage hours before Biden flies into Tel Aviv. There are a lot of updates to unpack with regards to that. Of course, Biden was going to meet with Arab leaders. That's not happening. They've decided to kick him to the curb. It's not entirely clear exactly what happened with the hospital in Gaza, the Christian Charity Hospital. And so it may have been any of a number of different groups that were responsible. Although I will say that I'm seeing a lot of declarative claims from all sides, mainly in DM form, that propose to show the truth of the matter, that propose that they have evidence in one way or the other. I'm not convinced by any of it. I'm going to not bother holding my breath for any positive proof as to what happened there. Anyway, a bunch of people died. That's pretty much all you need to know, and it's a rather sad thing, but everyone would like to use it as a political leverage. I think that that's rather telling about the combatants in this situation. We'll also be talking about other topics. For instance, the Trump-praised Hezbollah hoax. There's a little bit of an article there that I retweeted myself. Russia is revoking the nuclear test ban treaty. A lot of people were DMing me about that the other day. I would point out, of course, that the United States already revoked its own signatory status. They are pledging to continue to abide by its terms. They're just saying that they've no longer signed it. Their former autograph is no longer, it's null and void now. So we are one step closer to midnight. And just thankfully, it's only a half step at the moment. Alan Smithy, can I get a happy birthday, Mike Clanker? Happy birthday to you, Alan. Everyone wish Alan Smithy a happy birthday there. So, yeah, we've got a lot of news to cover. Some of it's more fun than others. SCOTUS and the ghost gun thing, that's a bullshit decision that they made. 5-4, by the way. And we'll be talking about that. And, of course, Biden getting on Truth Social, among other things. There's a lot of weird shit going on right now. Yeah, we'll launch right into it with the first story of the day. Let's give a little bit of a roundup on what's happened in Israel and Palestine in the last 24 hours. More war, more madness and sadness mainly. Gaza continues to be a hotbed of Hamas activity. They're firing their rockets into Israel. Hezbollah has fired some munitions into Israel as well. The IDF has attacked them, attacked Gaza. There are internal problems going on. Now you've got protests and riots spiraling across much of that region of the world as well, where before it was mainly like college kids in safe parts of the world, Europe and the United States mainly, calling for the liberation of Palestine, freedom for the people of Gaza. Now it's people throwing Molotov cocktails in places like Beirut, Beirut and Riyadh and places like that. Now inflamed with protests, sometimes getting into riot mode, some of which are quite large. Of course, the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon was actually attacked the other day. What I have to say is this. We'll talk about the Gaza hospital bombing first. The Gaza hospital bombing originally, right after it happened, the IDF's official page, or rather the Israeli official page on Twitter and elsewhere, claimed responsibility. And so it appears that a targeted strike did occur there. They then pulled that back, deleted that particular post, and said, no, it was munitions. It was Hamas was trying to fire rockets from the parking lot, and they didn't go off right. You've got numerous pictures and video of the immediate aftermath, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. what it sounds like is that Israel was intent upon firing the location, and Hamas beat them to it accidentally or something along those lines. I'm not sure that that really exonerates either side. I mean, if you're using a hospital as a staging ground, that's bad enough. If you're attacking that hospital without going through other possible recourses, that's a bad idea as well. So, yeah, unfortunately, John A., there's audio sticks. Yes, the problem is that audio at this point, along with video and pictures, can be falsified. I take everything that I see at this point with a big grain of salt. Stop spreading misinfo. That was not an official account. Again, remains to be seen. Some people can get me some archives about posts with regards to what's going on right now in Gaza. Those are always very much appreciated because those are not as falsifiable. Billy, good morning, Sticks. There's a YouTuber named S2 Underground who is a breath of fresh air. His content is spot on. His analysis is very spot on. I highly recommend. Haven't heard of them. I'll have to take a look. Ryan sent 10 Australian, I believe, or Austrian dollars. Thank you very much. No comment. The bonus holes need cooking advice. I don't make a lot of soups, but I have a lot of dried split peas and want to try making split pea soup. Do you know if a ham bone is necessary or would chopped ham and crumbled bacon work? The latter is perfectly fine, but if you long brew it and you have the ham bone, I believe it would be significantly better. I've made split pea and ham once, and it came out really well. A little bit on the thick side for my taste, but the taste itself was good. I prefer like a Tuscan bean soup, you know, with the white cannelli beans. That's really good. Lentil with extra spinach, of course. That's definitely my flair. Things of that. I like making soup this time of year. I'm going to be making tomato basil soon, too. But today is pizza day, actually, with artichokes and fungi. Lots and lots of thin sliced mushrooms. Paul Zabo, can you and Salty get together? I'd be perfectly willing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some people apparently don't like veggie soups and beanie soups and stuff like that. I think it's delicious. I would say that Bacon Bits, Paper Eater 101, bacon bits are not sufficient for a split pea and ham. You need actual like bacon or something like that. Don't use bacon bits. Are they even meat? Or are they like meat flavored little chunks of salty bread or something? I'm not 100% sure. Ellen Smithy, seconding S2 Underground. Just found them as well. Let me cue that up. S2 Underground. All right, so that I don't forget. S2 Underground on YouTube. Some commentary over there. From The Wire, I believe. Introducing GhostNet. Spymaster, startling Cold War revelations of a Soviet KGB chief. Yeah, that sounds like it's down my alley. By the way, last night I was looking up weird stuff about the Soviet Union related to the video on the Charkovchenka, which was their Antarctic ice cruiser, which actually is still in service today. There are a couple of them roving around down there because they worked so well. And I was looking up like forgotten Soviet weaponry and some of the weird shit that they built. Some of it will blow your mind as to the bizarre experiments that they did. They had literally a flying saucer, and I'm not shitting you, like a literal flying saucer that was capable of being effectively a passenger jet and going at extreme speeds and had all sorts of advantages over modern jets. But then the Soviet Union collapsed, so they were never able to put it into full development. Looks like the sort of thing with modern technology, if you souped it up, it would probably be pretty efficient. Yeah, just as an aside there. So as far as my view on, let's get back to the news briefly before I start ranting again as usual. With regards to Gaza, right now, everything that's unfolding there is a goddamn tragedy. I am never going to be Team Israel or Team Palestine. I know that people on both sides constantly perturb me to try to join one side or the other. Like, well, Sticks, can't you see that this is a war crime? Well, Sticks, can't you see that that's unjust? Sticks, can't you see that that attack is beyond the pale? Okay, I've heard that now for my entire life. This has been happening over and over again. I'm not going to join a team other than Team USA, and unfortunately, our government is more interested in that particular dust-up than it is in our own domestic problems. I want the U.S. border closed. I want people that are homeless in the United States to receive treatment. I want people that are starving, people that are going without meals in the United States to receive help. I want people in the United States who are disarmed to be armed. I want the militia restored, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I want tax relief. I want an end to all the goddamn wars. I believe in America first. I'm not going to become Israel first or Palestine first because I'm not an Israeli. I'm not a Palestinian. I think it's very sad what's going on over there. But as I pointed out earlier today, here's the problem. The only times in which there's relative peace within that region of the world is when some other foreign power shows up on its doorstep and subjugates the entire region. They never do it for terribly long, a few centuries usually at most. The Romans, the Persians, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the British, the Ottomans. There are about 24 different empires that have ruled that area. During those periods of time, there's relative peace, but the problem is that then everyone in the region is subjugated. So they're at peace as far as, not killing each other, but that's only because some third party is threatening to kill them if they decide to slaughter each other. Other than that, when there's home rule, as there has been in modernity, as there was when Judea was a thing, etc., it's just slaughter all of the goddamn time. If you read the Old Testament of the Bible, you'll see exactly how the Jewish people, when they did have dominion within that region, acted towards other groups of people. There was nonstop warfare. Sometimes it was the fault of other groups, the Moabites or the Hittites, or said the Hittites especially, I think, which also I believe ruled the region briefly for some time. I think the Babylonians kicked them out. Not 100% on the exact timeline. There have been so many empires and elements of tribal rule there, it gets a little bit messy. You'd probably need a goddamn master's degree before you would even be able to recite them verbatim. The problem is that when you have ethnic conflict plus religious conflict plus a flashpoint area that has a lot of trade moving through, a lot of potential resources, and is important to multiple world religions / political blocks, you're never really going to get peace. And so, in my opinion, it's impossible to do anything positive for the scenario. It's not really possible for Americans to weigh in on it effectively. It doesn't make any sense to even bother. I'm sorry that a bunch of civilians on both sides are being killed. It doesn't matter if they're a Jew or there's an Islamist. At the end of the day, these are mainly little kids that are getting killed. And it's terrible, and hospitals shouldn't be bombed, and airports shouldn't be bombed, and these people should try to live in peace. But we've been trying that for a very long time, since before I was born. Has it gone anywhere? Or are we right back in the 1970s right now? In more ways than one, by the way. The United States certainly is tacking in the Jimmy Carter direction economically and diplomatically right now as well. I don't see anything that can really be done to solve the problems in the region. People who support Israel will say, well, those Islamists just want to slaughter every Jew. People who support Palestine will say, no, the Israelis have them in the open air prison. And so naturally they're upset. And so Hamas is the only sort of outlet for that. I don't care. Most of the people that both of your sides are killing aren't even militants. They're not people with guns. They're people that have been disarmed by and large. As far as I'm concerned, either let it go to hell, let them do what they've been doing for 5,000 to 6,000 years, or let a third party, an empire like the United States, get involved, subjugate the entire area, and then take your lumps eventually when you lose control of it. Yay, you restored peace in the region for 150, 200, maybe 300 years. During that time, there were numerous rebellions by nationalists within the region of two different kinds now that Islam exists, by the way. And in the end, peace was not restored. And then you've left behind, probably, as Biden is any indicator, more toys for people to bomb each other with. Yay. That'll do wonders for peace in the region. Yeah. I mean, destroying the entire region would probably bring peace faster, but then, you've committed genocide and killed 10 million people. So let's see here. 87 Sparker. Good morning, Clankers. Good morning to you as well. Don Arkell, first super chat ever, been freeloading for years. Thanks for introducing me to Bill Tong from Anton's. Yeah, he sent me a bunch of it. It was all great shit. The Japanese Wagyu, the bison, it was some good shit. I needed some extra meat because I was working out in the garden 4 to 6 hours every day. So I was definitely getting my physical labor in. You need some more protein when you're doing that. SM, damn, was hoping you'd be on Timcast while in the USA. I didn't have time because my computer shit the bed, unfortunately. Had my computer not shit the bed, literally when I got on the aircraft to go to the United States, I would have gotten on Timcast. I was unable to do so. It took more than a week for it to be repaired. And then I'm like, well, I've got all this other shit that I've got to do, and everything's bottlenecked because I couldn't access some of my files and stuff like that. So, wow, not financial advice. Rumble stock is at an all-time low, around $5.30. I bought myself a decent amount of shares, going to double my money at some point. Yeah, not financial advice. I use Rumble. I'm actually making a decent amount of money on Rumble. Ozzy's Robots, morning. Don't know about the rest, but Ukraine has desensitized and caused ambivalence for many people regarding conflicts, not to mention a lack of trust. Yeah, I mean, when you're surrounded by propaganda 24/7, it doesn't necessarily ingrain a sense of trust, true. Mom Fozzie over on Rumble. So glad to have you back on regular schedule. Clank from Connecticut, seeing Depeche Mode in 3 weeks. Congrats. I'd like to see them in concert sometime. Sigil Stone, all this fog over a bombed hospital. Don't you just love 5th generation warfare? Yeah, I would say it's always bad when a hospital is bombed. Civilians died. Most of the people that died weren't combatants. Even if Hamas had set up shop there, most of the people that died were like kids and injured people. You know, there might have been a few injured combatants that were in there, but when we're looking at what's happening currently in the Middle East, we're seeing barbarianism. You know, we're not seeing civilization. We're seeing savagery. And so I think either sit back, let the savages kill each other, or which is probably what will happen, or march in. You can do one of those two things, but Israel has at least purportedly nuclear weapons, so it's not clear that we can directly intervene anyway. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, it probably starts with tens of thousands more injured and killed people. So, Mark Guidetti says, A.T. Jasmine, your studies are shit. There are no ancient Jews. Old Testament is Greek mythology remixed. Only partially. Judea did actually exist historically speaking. There was a tribe of people there originally worshiping Asherah partially, and they forsook parts of their pagan mythology in favor of a henotheistic sort of religion. That being said, there was an ancient Jewish tribe there. However, they had been scattered largely from that region over and over again for an extended period of time. The claim, therefore, that there is a specific homeland there is mostly based on Christian ideology as opposed to actual Judaism, as some Jews will actually tell you. And they believe that, mystically speaking, Israel as a political entity should not physically exist and is actually an affront to their religion. Meanwhile, you've got others that believe that it should exist. It's the place for coming back and then restoring in Judea and so forth. Islam, again, there are multiple branches of Islam with different beliefs with regards to the region as well, and the sanctity of the Dome of the Rock, etc. It's very, very difficult to actually create a central sort of theme with regards to the religious and ethnic conflict there, because there are different groups within both religions and ethnic groups, and they have disagreements. It becomes a real big problem. The Agal Faces, music recommendation, Chris Chan and the Hedgehog Boys. Yes, I watched the Chris Chan return video that was posted the other day. Also, there's another one, and comments are closed now, so you're not going to be able to get to see all the funny comments that were left. And the second one, I think he's claiming that he never fucked his mother. But I think he did. I think that's canonical, if I remember correctly. As in, there were conversations between him and at least one other individual with regards to what he did with his own mom. So if you want to watch Chris Chan's new uploads, I mean, you can. I didn't get a chance to watch the second one with audio because my daughter is down here and he might say random off the wall shit. I'll take a look at it later again so that other people hopefully don't have to. Wow. Israeli Clanker archived ABC's tweets on Ben telling friends and family to do the same so they can't lie about their headlines. Archive early and often. Yes, archive.today is your friend. I've been using it now for more than half a decade and encourage everyone else to do so, especially when you're sending news tips into content creators. Get them to use the archive. I seem to be like the voice in the wilderness, the only one actually using them And I mean, if you make a video, it gets all like 50, 100,000 views, you're sending a lot of views the way of that news site. They're getting clickbait, they're getting ad revenue and shit like that from that. They're getting money from you. I don't want them getting any money. Generally, they don't deserve it. Sometimes I will not archive it because I'm like, okay, I support this individual or this group or something, and so I don't care. But if it's Fox, CNN, something like that, always use archive. The bonus holes. I say expel everyone from both factions from Israel and Palestine and turn the entire place into an irradiated crater so neither side has a holy land to fight for. When 2K 1DS fight, two kids fight over a toy, you take the toy away. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Although then you gotta fucking put everyone somewhere else. I don't think that the Christians would ever accept that, though, because they're convinced that the tomb of Jesus and shit like that is still there, so... It's boomer Christianity, really, that's the problem as far as Western policy more than anything else. Silky Johnson, Sticks, you need your own seal of approval, like when you tried Anton's biltong. How about the clank spoon of approval? Well, his biltong definitely gets a clank of approval, that's for sure. Scott McLaughlin, good morning, Clankers. I'm on the Palestinian side as my girlfriend is Palestinian and saw firsthand how Israel treated the refugees. Not Hamas fan, though. Yeah, and that's, again, a perfectly acceptable opinion to have. I'm not on anyone's side but my own side, and that means siding with the United States. I just see a bunch of fire and death and barbarism and stupidity in the region, though. That doesn't mean that there aren't people from both sides that are good people. There are plenty of Israelis and Palestinians who oppose, respectively, what's going on. I would say it's probably a majority of both populations. But, I mean... What are we supposed to do about it? What can I, as an American, fundamentally do to stop even one person in Gaza or Tel Aviv from dying? Absolutely nothing. And so I choose not to do anything at all. I simply call it out for what it is. It's war and barbarism, and people should shut the fuck up, calm the fuck down, and live in peace. But they're not going to do that. This is not historically the case within this region. And it's very sad for them. I am thankful that I was born in a situation where it's not my sadness, in all honesty. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with admitting that. Meisner Flux, I suppose that communists think they could solve this by eliminating religion. Yeah, the problem is the ethnic question and the national question would still be there, yeah. Not a bad account. Primary schoolers have a right to gender affirming. According to Gavin Newsom, that's the case. Detroit Steel. Hey, Sticks, just wondering if you heard about Biden wanting to bring forward a $100 billion spending bill for both Ukraine and Israel. Hi, from Michigan. Yes, I did see that. I think it's a goddamn farce, actually. Magnum Norse, me Reiki egg roll until that egg roll goes sour and tries to kill me. Then I eat the egg roll. Jesse Johnson, Holy Land, my ass. Yeah, I mean, the Holy Land, according to Mormons, wasn't it in Alabama or something like that? No, it's certainly more peaceful. Doc Holiday, I don't see how to send a super chat on Rumble. Use the Rumble rants thing, the little $sign down in chat. I've never sent one any more than I have a super chat on YouTube because neither site will actually allow me to do so. I'm not exactly sure how I'm supposed to. I don't know what I'm supposed to fucking do. I would have sent money to several other content creators, but YouTube and Rumble prevent me from doing so. 87 Sparker, commies is their religion. JD, could you clarify the high population density of Gaza? Seems inflated to excuse Hamas weapons in cities. Well, if you count the massive urban ghettos of the cities there, the overall population density of the Gaza Strip is very high. There is farmland and empty land around them, but the cities take up a huge proportion of that land area. And so if you do drop a munition in one of those urban zones, you're going to tend to get casualties, and it's not just going to be Hamas members. That is actually true. It has been inflated. Like some people have made the claim, well, Gaza's population density is higher than that of lower Manhattan. Not quite, but it is still very high on a world scale. The bonus holes. Islam and Judaism can rename Israel Megaton and unite as one religion. The Church of Adam. Shameless self-promo at the bonus holes. Yeah, that would be interesting. More peaceful religion, actually. Not a bad account. Biden, 24. 4 more wars. Hashtag pride. Yeah. Yeah, then we'd be in 6 altogether. You know, we're waging a proxy war between Ukraine and Russia. We're directly involved now with this one, so. Next news story, I would like to point out, you've probably heard over the last few days that Donald Trump praised Hezbollah. There's a link in the description. You can take it at your leisure to The Federalist, actually, explaining why that's not the case. I only want to talk about this for one important reason. There are actually still people out there, and it's a mystery to me how they still exist and how they're intelligent enough to be able to walk and chew at the same time. There are people out there that are still taken in by all of the TDS hoaxes. Donald Trump did not praise Hezbollah. He quite clearly was making a rhetorical statement as though he was speaking as members of Biden's National Defense Council. So he was rhetorically remarking about how they would be musing about the subject and talking about how Hezbollah was smart, which he does insinuate because they tricked Biden's National Defense Council. And they tricked the Israelis, allegedly. Assuming that we go by the legacy media reporting, Donald Trump's not wrong. Hezbollah and these other groups managed to hoodwink one of the most beefy intel apparatuses in the entire world by effectively using brick phones and couriers. If that is the case, that was definitely smart. You can be smart and evil at the same time. But that nuance is lost, of course, because Orange Man bad. Quite clearly, Donald Trump, out of all world leaders, is the one who praises Hezbollah almost as much as the Iranians. And this article is pointing out how that's completely asinine. No reasonable person believes it. But I've seen very few liberals actually countermanding this. Do you know why that is? It's not because they agree with it. Oh, no. It's much more nuanced than that. It's actually worse. It's because they refuse to go up against the other liberals that believe the story. So Krasenstein is not going to come out and post this article and say, hey, everyone, by the way, Donald Trump clearly was not praising Hezbollah. Believe it or not, Donald Trump was not praising Islamic terrorist groups. He was actually making a swipe at the Biden administration and to an extent the Israelis for not knowing what the hell was going on and refusing to even respond for several hours thereafter. That's the reality. The falsehood is that Donald Trump, if you take the clip out of context so that nobody would know that he was talking about the National Security Council employed by Joe Biden, yeah, you'd think that Donald Trump was praising Hezbollah. Please watch the entire clip. It's actually linked in this link in the description, which is not archived because it's my response to it because I thought it was funny. Do that, and then you'll see how bullshit the claim was. I know that. Most of you probably know that, but somehow we've found that there are people out there that don't know that. They actually believe that Donald Trump is praising Hezbollah. What's next? He's praising Osama bin Laden or something like that. There are actually people that I think would believe that if you made the claim. An unnamed source close to the issue has reported to MSNBC News that Donald Trump secretly loves the Iranian people so much that he wants them to get the bomb and destroy Jerusalem. Parlock 480. They want a world war before the election. Yes, wars are very good for the sitting party. I would be surprised if Biden weren't very happy about what's going on. Sinister Minister. What are the dangers of the USA having two front proxy wars? We'll be talking, I believe, about Janet Yellen, actually. Yeah, we've got her in the docket. And her fucking warmongering. Apparently, we are able to afford two wars. Interesting, because I thought we weren't actually directly involved in either of them. Yellen seems to disagree with her boss. Magnum Norse. Communists are like roaches. Every time I cuss one out, another one writes a hit song about it. Wow, lol, Trump has Jewish grandkids. He would not praise them. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, is it Zion Dawn or is it Donald Trump praise Hezbollah Allah Akbar? Because we're getting both claims at this time from people that don't like Donald Trump. Well, what the fuck is it? Clearly, he wasn't praising Hezbollah. He was insinuating that Israel got caught with its pants down. He's willing to criticize them. By the way, I seem to recall, you can fact check me on this. Back when Obama was president, when he criticized the state of Israel for, I think it was misuse of funding, or he told them that they needed to quiet down because they were saber rattling again. Did the liberals not congratulate Obama and think of it as a great bellwether of great things to come that he was willing to criticize the greatest ally? I seem to recall that they were. In fact, at the time I pointed out, yeah, I mean, if they're countermanding our policy directly, there's no reason to continue sending limitless funds to them. Basically, if you want our money, at the very least, pat us on the back, give us a reach around when you fuck us in the ass or something like that. I seem to remember liberals claiming it was a great day at the time. But all of a sudden, when Donald Trump does it, he's praising Hezbollah. Very, very strange, the differential reactions there. Francis Perot. Hey Sticks, let my wife Jess know I love her. Still working, always working. Hope you and the family are well. Okay, to Jess, Francis still loves you. And I guess he's working all the time. I know that feel, my dude. Early Worm Gets the Bird. Off topic. Went to see Ghost live. Amazing show. Apparently lots of people call them Satanists. Others say it's just for satire. I think it's in between. There's some Masonic symbolism there, number one, which wouldn't be Satanism. But I think that it is just for show. As I pointed this out years ago, when some pop star or rock star in this case uses imagery that could be considered occult, etc., normally it's to get people's attention. Because that means more ticket sales. It means more clicks on your videos. It means more money. Well, it's definitely a cult in the sense of stage magic. Ozzy's Robots, did you ever get back on X community notes? I cannot write new notes, although I can rate notes for some reason, but there's no rating actually given. I don't know, I'm in a gray area. SP Elite, percent chance this turns into World War III in the Middle East. I don't think you're going to see World War III as the result of it, but a percentage chance of a regional war? Probably about 50-50, unfortunately. SP Elite, do you know what books the World War II bad guys burn? A lot of them. I think that we shouldn't be burning any books. I just don't think that we should be providing pornographic ones in a public school setting to minors. I don't think that this is an extreme opinion. I'm pretty sure it's a mainstream one. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. YouTube won't let me send more than $1.99. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know how the fuck their system works. Not a banned account. Israel and Ukraine need 200 or 300 billion. Affordable. Yeah, they definitely want it. That's for sure. See, I don't want to miss any super chats over on Rumble. Where is it? Goyve shut it down. Howdy from Austin, Texas. Catching you before I go to bed. Thank you very much. The Burlap Sack. Got married recently. Any advice? Also, Tink. The best advice for a man in a marriage, happy wife, happy life. Il Sarto. Just remembered Chunk Yogurt declared his presidential candidacy. It made me chuckle. I thought maybe you could use a chuckle as well. Have a great day, Sticks. Yeah, I covered that because he was born in Istanbul. So he's not actually eligible, and he'll top out at 0.5% or something. I'd be surprised if any of the polls bother to aggregate his results. RS3 to Cool Guy. PSA, Tom Poole has had the worst takes on various issues and ignores super berries. Send your super berries to Sticks and read Tim's Kiwi Farms thread if you don't believe me. Yeah, I don't use Kiwi Farms. I've got better things to do than to go to basically what is an effective tabloid / a soap opera gossip forum for e-creators. Not necessarily what I'm interested in. I don't know why people don't like Tim Pool. I like his content. I don't watch it all the time, but when I do watch it, I tend to enjoy it. King of Biltong. Good morning, Clankers. Get your Biltong shipped free using code STICKS on www.landofbiltong.com and antonsusa.com. Thank you for all the great feedback this morning for the official Clank meat. Hashtag Clank Nation. Yes, the official meat of Clankdom is Biltong from Anton's. I'm just hoping he gets a super spicy version going. Like something that's, like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10 on the spicy scale. Ram that fucking chili pepper shit into that Angus. That's what I'm talking about. I need it in my life. Cam2425 IA. Odds of China opening a third front in Taiwan as we're overstretched already. Well, I think the Eastern Bloc may be a bit overstretched at the moment as well. The problem with that is Taiwan is a heavily fortified island. It's a little bit different from these other theaters. Gaza's tiny, and Ukraine, until recently, didn't really have many first world military tools. Wow, F Biden, F Hamas, MAGA 2024, no, forever war. Exactly. We need Donald Trump back. I think that's beyond debate at this point. We need Trump back. Next news story. Biden campaign to launch account on Trump's Truth Social. There's very little truth happening on Truth Social, but at least now it'll be a little fun. Biden campaign tells Fox News Digital. You don't bother going through the article because it's on fucking Fox. Yeah, the Biden campaign has a Truth Social account now, and they think that this is not going to backfire. The problem is you're bringing attention to your opponent's platform. You can be banned at any time. Although I think that Donald Trump should simply take a swipe at them every time they post and just have a chuckle at them and let them get dogpiled. Because this is basically the equivalent of a four-man Jewish strike team, like a firing team going into the middle of Gaza City right now without any air support. It's going to backfire. What's going to happen is that on Truth Social, people are going to absolutely dogpile anything that the Biden campaign posts, and they'll be doing the thing where they pretend that everything's fine and that they're not worried about the fact that they're getting criticized left and right like 99% of the time. And they'll pretend that it's some sort of great victory. You know, we triggered the snowflakes, we triggered the MAGA hat wearers or something like that. The problem is that when you're doing the adults are back in charge maturity campaign, so you're differentiating yourself from mean tweets and things like that, choosing to have your official campaign page go directly onto the social media site run by your opponent and spew out a bunch of nonsense and probably engage with people in the process isn't necessarily the greatest look. Strategically speaking, Trump has one great advantage over his opponents. He can get away with anything. People are already used to it. If Joe Biden is going to cast himself off as the mature one, well, I'm the mature, well, at this point, great granddad. You know, I'll take you out behind the woodshed. We're going to do an honest day's work and shit like that. If you're going to do that sort of messaging, you can't also delve into Trump's own forte. And that's really the danger here. You're doing exactly what Donald Trump would be doing, which is if Biden had a social media site, Trump would sign up on day one and he'd start rampaging to get himself banned because it'd be funny. But Trump is amusing when he does this, and it's expected that he'll do things like this. This is what his fans call for. It's funny. It's considered red meat to the base. With Biden, it's a little bit different. Biden's a tired old man who does very mainline politics and is very boring. If anything, ironically enough, that can be a strength because he can cast himself off as mature. Now his campaign's on Truth Social, specifically to antagonize his opponent. We'll see what happens, but I have a feeling that it will backfire in the end. Let's see. Superchats. SB Elite, if China attacks Taiwan, would that be considered World War III at that point? Who besides Russia would even be their possible ally? Honestly, I think the Chinese would lose. I don't think that they could overrun Taiwan. I think it'd become their own forever war and they would really regret it. It'd be sort of like the times that they attacked Vietnam. Again, people often know about the U.S.-Vietnam War. We went into Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and bombed a bunch of shit, and in the end, we lost because of bureaucracy. China attacked the Vietnamese twice. They lost both times, handily. China does not have a good force projection capability, and that's with a land border. Imagine what happens when you have to have absolute naval supremacy in order to even land on the target. The only thing that's missing is a Second Amendment style thing in Taiwan. We should be promoting them to do effectively what Israel did last week, which is arm the entire public. Armories, body armor, and small arms for everyone. Armories that contain heavier weapons, beef up the defenses, dig in, get ready for the possibility of an onslaught. The hope is that it's peace through strength. China wouldn't dare invade us. They'd lose 5 million people just trying to land a beachhead. And so they're not willing to do so because very quickly the Chinese public would sour on the concept. That's what Taiwan should be doing. Will they do that? I can't answer, but I don't think that there's an imminent attack on Taiwan at this time, which is good. It's thankful. Peyton Walter, by the way, sending $300. Thank you very much. Hey, dude, are you rich yet? You're pretty effing funny and you do great work. Well, I'm $300 richer thanks to you. Thank you very much. No, I'm not rich, but I am relatively well off because I've got diversified income. It's not just the live stream money. I do get ad revenue on Rumble, although I pledge never to take it on YouTube, and I've held true to that. I've got some donations that come in every month, and then also my book sales. The biggest income that I have is from books. It has nothing to do with my videos other than when I announce that a new book is available. I've edited hundreds and hundreds of different pieces of literature. most of which are over 200 years old. I've written a number of books and booklets over time, and I have fun doing it. I think that my main richness is in being able to work on my own schedule, do what I want, be with my family, like more than the average person. And so like the actual financial side, because I've got more energy because, I choose my schedule and stuff, I'm able to dedicate more time as well to my work. And so it just sort of works out. So yeah, I live stream, make videos, books, all sorts of stuff. Can't wait to get back into more gardening as well. So no, I'm not rich, at least in the fiscal sense, but I make ends meet. And in the Bidenomic economy, hell, that's no small fucking task. 87 Sparker, what if this Israel war is just to drain us so we will be weak for China and Russia attacks? It's possible. Although you got to realize Israel doesn't really need a whole lot of help. They have air superiority, sea superiority, and far greater manpower. Basically, when we're sending them money, we're just doing it as a grift. There's no real reason to send Israel any money. They can do it themselves. Ozzy's Robots. I wish I was as rich as Peyton Walter. Alan Smithy. Come on down to Anton's in Tombstone, Arizona. Get your dry-aged long pig jerky. Shipped free with code Wasted Bonehead. Corpse meat. Grave meat. Sinister Minister. Do you consider calling a gay man light in the loafers hate speech? No. I think it's a colloquial term. I don't know exactly 100% what it means, but... Wow, Second Amendment lover forever. Guns for everyone, everywhere. Yeah, when I'm back in the US, I'm getting at least 2 more guns. David Walk, 199, no comment. Ozzy's Robots, Bitcoin or Ether. I'm converting other coins. I only hold Bitcoin at this point. I sort of forsook all of the other ones and converted them into Bitcoin mainly. I think I get a handful of other coins. I think there's some Doge left and some Ethereum, but other than that, I converted it to Bitcoin, I think. I'd have to take a look. King of Biltong, ghost pepper delivery scheduled for today. First batch of Wagyu XX hot expected week of Halloween. Oh yeah, definitely something I'm trying when I'm back. Trip Boom. Anton, can you add the ghost pepper one to my order I placed last night? You'll probably have to wait until there's like an order form or something on his site. Parlock 480, what would a nation under paganism look like? More trees than people, probably. Make it work in New England, I suppose. Yeah, it'd probably be a little bit more laid back than an Abrahamic nation. Just saying. I don't know. I don't really care what people do. Just don't spoil everything for everyone else and stop fucking killing each other. How hard is it? Jesus Christ. Anyway, next news story. Janet Yellen is saying we can afford 2 wars. Of course, because we have a proxy war in Ukraine right now. And then we have another kind of proxy war now in Israel and Palestine. Janet Yellen assures us, though, that it won't break the bank. We're capable of funding both of them. We're capable of paying money to other people to slaughter one another. Now, I talked earlier about the fact that the general region tended towards the warmongering. There's a lot of savagery that goes on in that region, partially because of its location, partially because of resources and trade lines and things, and partially religion and ethnic conflict. Is it not equally barbarous, though, for some third-party nation to be effectively funding the conflict? It's like that meme, I think it was from South Park or The Simpsons or something, where the 2 monkeys are fighting and one has a knife and the other's like a broken bottle and people are standing around with wads of money betting on which monkey is going to kill the other or something. Isn't that a little bit like what's going on right now? It's basically the name of the game with a proxy war, by the way. I oppose this. Yeah, I understand people need to make money and we need... an impetus to make a better bomb or a better plane or something. Hey, can we find some other way to do that other than killing kids? Please, I'm not even a bleeding heart. I'm a laid-back, laissez-faire libertarian. I love guns. Things that go boom are fun. Can you not test them on kids? Why don't you test them on animals or something? And then, PETA will get really, really upset over it. And that would be funny too. Why don't you do what they used to do with like atomic testing and have a bunch of pigs and sheep and shit like that and just fucking immolate them? And if they're not too radioactive, of course, you can eat them afterwards. Instead of testing them out on 10-year-olds. I don't know. I think that would be a better idea, but apparently I'm in a minority in certain parts of the world. Primarch Vulcan. Are you just temporarily back in the U.S. at the moment, or have you fully moved back? I'm in the Netherlands right now. I was in the U.S. for about 3.5 weeks. I will be going back in spring, most likely, because I got a lot of the garden rehabbed, but not all of the garden. And I'm hoping that at least 1 or 2 of the chamomile plants survived. Otherwise, I'm going to be pissed because that lineage was, 12 years old or something like that. I'm going to be going back and forth because I like it here. I like it there. There are advantages to both continents. I like being with my family. I also like seeing my garden, hiking and stuff. There's no mountains here. Everything's flat as a washboard. I think there's like 20 feet of variation between this side of the Netherlands and the coast. And there's like one little tiny chunk at the southern end of the country that doesn't even make sense that it's part of the borders where there's a couple of foothills. And that's basically all they got. Peyton Walter. Hey, Ozzy's Robot. Spend 15 years after high school becoming a neurosurgeon and you will be rich. I think that the joke is that Ozzy is also very wealthy. I think it was lawsuit related or something. I think he told me the story once. I can't remember exactly how it went. Sparky, Sticks, you could be rich if you grabbed your recurved bow, saddled up and took us clankers on a pillaging rampage like old times. Well, if California ever chooses to secede, maybe that'll happen. We'll see what happens. Next news story, and the final one, of course, the Supreme Court unfortunately deciding to side with the Biden administration in a decision that I genuinely can't tell you that I understand, because it makes absolutely no sense. You remember when the Biden administration was trying to redefine components of guns as firearms for the purposes of cracking down on basically make-it-yourself kits without a registry? The Supreme Court sided with them and blocked a lower court's blocking in turn of the enforcement of that rule. Now, I believe that this means it goes into effect pending further litigation. But at the moment, effectively, a court on which the justices at least lean conservative, has decided that a piece of a gun, so part of a receiver, it's not even, it can't fire anything, it can't do anything until you actually construct it, is actually a gun. That's basically saying that a Lego pirate ship component is a Lego pirate ship. So the fact that this piece can be attached to the flag of the Lego pirate ship means that it in turn is a pirate ship. If you were to extend this logically to other products other than firearms, I think you'd run into a million different problems with regards to advertising law. Well, you advertised that this Lego set was a cafeteria Lego set, but this component is exactly the same as the component that's in the pirate ship. So I think that it's a pirate ship. And the pirate ship costs $30. Well, these are probably $300 for a Lego set now. And the one I bought cost $60. Well, you robbed me, effectively, of $30. Well, that's not allowed. I hate to say that that's not necessarily a hyperbolic argument if you follow through with the logic, the way in which legalese works. Everything has to be very rigorous and very literalistic within the law. That's why frivolous lawsuits happen. Doesn't matter if common sense tells you that the case makes no sense. It only matters what's in the actual prescribed law. This is a farce of a decision. It effectively tells you that a partially completed receiver that has to be further milled, connected to the other component, and then connected to every other component within that firearm to actually fire a bullet is effectively a gun. Now, thankfully, that's not the end of litigation, but the fact that they let it go into effect at all makes no sense, and it's very telling. It's effectively a show of the hand with regards to the high court. They're effectively saying we are likely to side with the Biden administration when it says this. Now, there are reasons why they might want to do so. Again, regarding in possibly advertising law, and that's not hyperbole. But it's still a bad decision. The fact is that a piece of metal that could become a gun if connected to other pieces of metal in just the right way after further manufacturing can't possibly be considered a gun. And the idea, the problem is they sided with them on this because otherwise they would have to have a stringency like a certain part of the gun has to specifically have the registry. Although that's unconstitutional too, and really under Bruin, we should understand that. I'm surprised that they didn't bring up Bruin and knock this down. So maybe it's the handle, like the grip of the gun. Maybe it's the receiver. Maybe it's something else, or maybe it depends on the kind of gun. But it's just a really weird, convoluted decision. It doesn't really make sense. This has been a rather pro-Second Amendment Supreme Court, and yet they're allowing this to take effect again. It's not the end-all, be-all of the decision. It will go back. It will be further litigated. but it's a bad decision. And we need to call out the Supreme Court when it makes bad decisions. I mean, what possible justification can you give for a piece of something being the entire component? A tire is not a car, for example. If I drive a car down the road, I need insurance on that vehicle. And there are seatbelt laws and shit like that. But if I take a tire and I start poking it down the road, so it's rolling down the hill, am I breaking a traffic law? I mean, I might be breaking a law, public nuisance or something, but is that a car? Is the actual wheel the car? No, it's a fucking goddamn tire. It's obviously not a motor vehicle. A plane. You have to have all sorts of licenses to fly a plane. All sorts of shit has to go on. Do I need those licenses to buy a plane's propeller? No. Quite clearly, it's not a plane. It's a piece of a plane. I mount it on the wall. I spin it around. I hooked it onto a pole, and now it's my little windmill or something. I use it to charge a 9-volt battery. It's not a plane. Computers. There are certain things you can and cannot do with computers, hacking and shit like that, looking up illicit stuff. Is the processor a computer or is it a component of the computer? It's a component of the computer. This would be the case with literally any other thing under the sun. Publishing laws. You can't replicate somebody else's book. It's illegal. You've breached their copyright if it's under copyright. Can you take a paragraph from that book and quote it verbatim for critical purposes? Yes, it falls under existing law. You're allowed to do that. Academic purposes, critical purposes, whatever. You're reviewing it. Because it's not the book. It's a small component of it. And so I don't understand how the Supreme Court's argument here makes any goddamn sense whatsoever, other than they didn't want to put the issue to rest. They want to hear more oral arguments at the lower court level and then probably take it up later. I condemn the decision. It was a bad one. It's a 5-4 for a reason. It doesn't really make any goddamn sense. Yeah, Ron Patton, a window is a house now, so you have to get homeowner's insurance on the window, fire insurance on the window, obviously. You know, your hand is part of your body, so your body is a person. So, you know, you get life insurance, you can get it on your hand now as well. Pilgram Media, which death metal B&W makeup would you do? I don't really put on makeup much. I'd be more into gothy makeup than black metal anyway. Ozzy's Robots. Peyton Walter, clearly you don't know my channel. I have multiple surgeons among my tenants, including the county government. We got rich people flexing on each other. Wow, New York trying to make 3D printers need a background check. Exactly. It's fucking horse shit. A church in Scotland. Hi there, Sticks. I'm not in a loop that much, but is there a song for the current conflict like Feed the World or Band-Aid? They don't really do protest songs anymore, other than mumble rap with a very vague message. I would just listen to, you know, war. War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Something like that. Where have all the flowers gone or so? We're going to have to recycle fucking boomer rock, I suppose. Sinister Minister, I predict Musk and AOC will one day consecrate their dual attraction with a grudge fuck. Oh, God, imagine the smell. By the way, please send no more super chats, because I do have a few things that I have to get to. I've got to make pizza sauce mainly later. OMG puppies. Have you looked at the occult writings of Julius Evola, Italian mystic, friend of Mussolini, but critic of fascism? Heard of him? Haven't actually gotten around to reading any of his material, which I've been encouraged to do multiple times. Peyton Walter, hey Ozzy, I don't know Jack. I just like sticks. Yeah, we've got rich people in the audience. Yeah, I like being well off, although I have to say, if I was like super rich, it's like, what are you going to use the money for? You can only maintain so big a garden. And I would definitely never hire a landscaper. So, you know, I guess there's a hard cap on how much I can actually spend. It's like, you know, I'm not going to buy a sports car in Vermont, and here the speed limits are too low. In Vermont, the speed limits are too low, and it'd get totaled going over a pothole. So, Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Our zombie has shown up. Sigil Stone, I got a witch's brew being made for Bonehead for Halloween, but replace witch with a heroin addict's recovery ward and brew with a septic tank. Trick or treat, bitch. And Wasted Bonehead, Sigil Stone is an Andy Six wannabe. Your poo will never be worthy of sliding down anyone's whore gullet, Sigil. Oh, Christ. Yeah, I mean, if I had a bunch more money, I would just get a bigger garden. Imagine how many tomatoes I would grow. I'd just be basically sitting there all day, just growing things and canning them. It would be nice to have a big greenhouse with a sodium vapor lamp in the cold months. That is something that in the fairly near future I do intend to invest in, because then you get summer year round. You just fucking take a nap in there, you feel fully recharged. It's exactly like the sun. I'll tell you a quick story. Please, again, no more super chats because I do have to go offline. But really quickly here, when I was at UVM the final year, I did a work study position in the greenhouses. They had one of the vapor lamps on. Now, I was going down the hallway and I was sweeping actually at the time. I was sweeping mainly plant debris and dirt and shit like that everyone gets everywhere in a greenhouse. And it was a huge greenhouse. It's got like 10 different chambers in it. So this is not a little 12 by 16. This is more like, I don't know, half a football field of greenhouse worth. Anyway, I'm sweeping up. I go into this one room. I think it was the third room on the left. They had a bunch of tropical plants. All of a sudden, I felt weird. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I hadn't noticed the vapor lamp because the top, that part wasn't glass, at least where the main hallway connected to the side room. So I didn't know because the front, I think, was tinted or had a screen on it, if I remember correctly. I go in there and all of a sudden, it's like the middle of summer. It felt exactly like sunlight. And I was like, oh God, I love this work study position. Unfortunately, they only had it on sometimes, so I didn't get to experience that. I mean, I would have volunteered for free just to spend a couple of hours a day in the sodium vapor lamp room. It was really, really nice. Very high energy output, so quite expensive to field. But if I had a decent sized greenhouse, I would get like a small end sodium vapor lamp. And I'd goddamn take naps in there. You could get a tan under that. It's like 99.9% pure spectrum. It's quite literally like the actual sun. And it was like the greatest thing ever. And I tend to have seasonal affective disorder a bit. Dark weather does give me slight depression. So I'm thinking about the benefits as you know, you could do your work in that room. You could make it your office, surrounded by bonsais and shit like that. Ozzy's Robots. I'm the poorest rich guy. No private jet. Now, why would you want one, though? You pay a bunch of money for it to sit there, mainly. Let's see. And that's the end of the Super Chats. I will be back tomorrow, everyone. Don't worry, to the nearly 5,000 people watching live. Of course, it'll be Thursday, and so we'll probably cover mainly Gaza again, unfortunately. I don't know. How many people are going to die overnight that I have to talk about? 1,000 of them? 2,000? Who knows? It depends on who gets involved in the... It's bullshit, in my opinion. Hopefully, we'll get to some more happy news. Maybe we'll get to that Chris Chan video. Again, I will watch his second video so that you don't have to. Whether I make a video on it depends sort of on how messed up the video is and possibly how many lies he's telling. But I'll try to get to it. Yeah. In the meantime, keep it real and peace out.